Okay, we are live. Maya, ready to get nuts?
Of course, we're going to have so much fun.
Yes, we are. Okay, let's get into it. On today's episode of Playing Small is Cancelled, we have a very abundant treat. She has made waves in the world of marketing and career success, and with a journey that saw her rise from hitting rock bottom to becoming a VP of marketing and a respected career success expert, she's the epitome of resilience and determination, big facts. As a speaker, author, coach, she is dedicated to helping ambitious professionals accelerate their career growth and build lives they love, full of alignment and high vibes. Her career advice
Yay.
has reached north of 15 million people around the world and changed thousands of lives, and it could change yours too. Please welcome the insightful, trailblazing, and multifaceted, the beautiful and brilliant Maya Grossman. How you doing, Maya?
Oh my gosh, thank you. With that intro, you just made my day. I'm done. Like, mic drop, I can go.
How do we follow that up, right?
Exactly. But don't worry, we have so much that we can talk about. And I'm so excited to chat with you because I have a feeling we're so aligned with how we see the world.
Yeah, I think so too. And I couldn't be more excited for this conversation as well. For our listeners, if you are not familiar, my best suggestion is play catch up, do a deep dive, grab her book, check out all the awesome stuff she has going on. We're just going to dive right in today. And we were having an unbelievable conversation before we record. And, you're right. It's become so trendy to talk about entrepreneurship and building your own business. And there are definitely perks. I mean, you're looking at it right now. That's the life that I chose at this point, but a corporate life isn't so bad either. And I know that you like to challenge the paradigm of that everybody should just start leaving and build their own business. Is that true? Why do you want to challenge that?
Yeah. Well, I actually think that building a business is not for everyone. And I don't mean to say that you shouldn't try it, but there are other options. We kind of got used to thinking that the corporate world is evil, that no matter where you go, people are not going to care about you. You're going to be working for someone else and you're going to be miserable. But guess what? I had an incredible career. I loved my corporate life. I got to do amazing things that I actually got paid to do, right? I experimented, I tried new things. I worked with huge budgets that I can't afford to do myself. I built projects that touched millions of people, and I actually enjoyed it. So I know that there is a path where corporate can actually be an incredible experience. You can do things you love, you can grow, and you can actually get paid for it. But for some reason, probably because it's very popular to trash things, we keep hearing, oh, you have to escape the rat race. Corporate is evil, right? Don't work for someone else. And if that's you, if you have an entrepreneurial spirit and you want to build your own thing, by all means, go and do it. But I actually think that the only difference, the reason why people hate corporate so much is because they think that work happens to them. They just believe that someone else is making decisions, right? Their manager, a company, sometimes even the economy. When in reality, it's all in your hands. You are the one making decisions. You can decide to stay or leave. You can decide to actually negotiate for what you want. You can choose different paths and different managers and different things to do. And when you do that, you actually design your own career instead of just kind of waiting and hoping and wishing that something will change. And it makes all the difference in the world.
I love it. Love these nuggets. So, and you just brought up a really good point. Well, many points. But being an entrepreneur and starting your own thing is cool, but it's not for everybody. And just because you might work at a job in corporate doesn't mean like you're a slave to that particular job. You can ascend in the company, you could design the schedule perhaps, and you can find something that you really love and feel aligned to and help that grow. And those are great things as well, right?
Yeah, and I like to think about it as being an entrepreneur with a corporate job. Because I got the best career advice from reading business books, from following entrepreneurs in the world, right? I started with Tony Robbins and Gary Vaynerchuk, in the early days. Today it's Alex Hormozy and people like you. But I take that same advice and I just apply it to the corporate world. And I'll never forget when I first read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week, right? Which is essentially how to build your own business. But I said, wait, how can I use the same tools to design the career that I want? And I started applying the exact same steps. And guess what? I was able to build a career that I actually love and I did not need to escape from. And by the way, you can also do both. You can have a corporate career and start a side hustle. It's actually something that I recommend. But the important part, I think, is to understand that you are in control, not someone else. And when you have that agency, you can pretty much do anything.
Yeah, that's a good word, agency. I think of like a consciousness. Beautifully said. What do you think are some misconceptions about people that might be struggling in their corporate job mentally, thinking maybe it's not the right fit or is this all that's out there for them? What did you see? What are some patterns that you see that are some misconceptions?
I think there are two different red flags for me when it comes to the corporate world. It can be a bad fit for you because it is actually a toxic environment. That actually happens. I'm not saying every company is going to be great, every manager knows how to lead. Sometimes people, are just a-holes. Sorry.
All
And
good.
if that is the case,
Sure.
then you need to leave because no amount of hard work is going to fix being in a toxic environment. You can work hard all day. And if you do, it's just a sign that, you're trying to please someone who will never ever change. And I've had that experience. I worked for a boss that actually told me to my face after 10 years of being a top performer, he told me to my face, "You're not good enough. I don't think you're going to make it here." And my previous performance review was like spot on. It was perfect. But it was just the wrong fit. And guess what? I left that company and I started working for Microsoft. I became a director, I became a VP, and eventually started my own business. So I guess I did have what it takes. So I think the first one is that sometimes a toxic environment is a sign you actually have to move. However, what people get wrong is that they want to leave when it's hard. But there are different types of hard. And we're actually supposed to have challenges if we want to grow. I mean, if you feel absolutely no challenge and you're not worried sometimes that maybe, you can get better, if you don't have questions, you're probably stagnant, which in my opinion is a little bit boring. My worst nightmare is not that I'm going to have to try and do something hard. It's not that I'm going to fail. My worst nightmare is to wake up 5 years from now and be exactly where I am today.
Same. Yeah, I love it. Thank you for this, for the raw vulnerability and so forth. I think what I've seen is some people that are in corporate, they maybe stumbled upon to a job that necessarily wasn't something they were super excited about, but that's where they ended up staying, and it's solid, almost like the golden handcuffs, right? Like they're making some.
Oh, I've had that and I
Yeah,
left.
yeah, but you had the courage. A lot of people get stuck in that pattern on that path because things are pretty good, even though they could be much better. How can you identify if that's you, and what can we do to break free?
So I can actually share what happened with me, right? So I had what most of my friends and family thought was the perfect job. I worked for Microsoft. And don't get me wrong, it was a great company. I had a great team. We had a private barista who knew how I liked my coffee. So trust me when I say all the perks were there.
Love it.
But after almost 2 years, and I'm the kind of person who's going to stretch the limits anyway, right? I got into a role after 6 months. I'm like, I want more. So, I expanded, I took more responsibility, I did everything that I could. But after 2 years, I was kind of getting bored. Like, it was easy, it was comfortable, it was convenient, there was no excitement, and I wasn't feeling like I'm learning new things.
Being
And
challenged.
that's when I kind of stopped and I asked myself, okay, what do I actually want? What is my goal with my career? And I think that's important. I think a lot of the time people just wing it. They're just like, I'll just take whatever comes my way. But if you don't have a goal, then anything that comes your way is going to be interesting, but you're not going to know which path to choose. So for me, my dream was to become the CMO of a Silicon Valley startup. And mind you, I lived on a different continent at that time. So it was a very crazy goal.
Where did you live?
I lived in Israel.
Nice.
Yeah. And at that point, when I was at Microsoft, I started thinking about a promotion and I even started interviewing for a role internally. But then I kind of looked at the numbers and I'm like, okay, if I want to be a CMO at a company the size of Microsoft, that would take, give or take, 10 to 15 years if I am exceptionally good and exceptionally lucky. However, at my level, if I wanted to become a CMO at a smaller company, that should happen with between 2 to 3 years. And that is how I made the decision. I asked myself, what do I, not just what I want now, what do I want in the future? And the answer was, well, if you want to be a CMO, you have to go somewhere else. So I left what most people thought was the best job on the planet to work for a startup. And I started as a director. And less than a year later, I was a VP, which was the first step to that leadership role that I was looking for. So instead of waiting 15 years, I got what I wanted within a year. And I think that's the part that people miss. If you are not thriving, if you are not learning, if you are not growing, move. You're not a tree. You can actually move.
Yeah, it's very simple, not easy, but simple. If you don't feel
Yes,
like you're being challenged, if there's no room for expansion, if it's not a hell yes, then consider a different narrative. And also, like, when you finally let go of something that's not really serving you any longer, only then can you really be available for the right aligned situation. But if your energy is still so focused on this, which is kind of deflating you,
yeah,
you're not going to be open to receiving what's really out there. So again, it's like you don't even have to see the whole path, but you have to go by intuition. You have to realize, like, am I thriving or am I just getting by? And spoiler, we're not meant to just get by in life. We're meant to thrive,
exactly.
to excel, to expand, to spread our wings. Period. Right?
Exactly. I mean, I know it's true for me. Maybe it's not true for everyone, but the thought of not kind of maximizing my potential and not being the best version of myself that I can be, um, that's daunting. This is what actually worries me, that I'm gonna end up, on my deathbed years from now and like, oh, why didn't I, go after that thing? And I believe it's actually the number one regret. Right? They did a research to see what are the top 5 reasons that people, when they look back at their life, what do they regret the most? And it was not taking chances, not actually doing the things that they wanted to do. And regret is
Yeah.
very painful. And I get it, growing is challenging. It can be painful, it can be difficult,
Uncomfortable.
uncomfortable, exactly. But in my opinion, and this plays so well with the name of this show,
Yeah.
playing small when you're meant for more is the worst thing you can do.
Ever. And I did a whole TED talk on this that we just dropped. And I think that the biggest price of all is the price of regret. And oftentimes, to get to where we're meant to do, like, our soul is here to expand. Actually, our soul resents contracting, staying in an environment where there's no room for growth. Yes, it will be uncomfortable because anytime you stretch yourself, you're stepping out of your comfort zone. It's uncomfortable, but it's also what leads to your next level of expansion. And that's really where all the juicy stuff is in that journey, in that process, figuring things out. Right. And I see so many people that get a little bit later in life, like, oh, I should have done this, or what would have happened if I did this. You do not want to have those on your consciousness. Make the most of every single second, and also, like, give yourself permission to be less than perfect. Right, take some messy action, figure some things out.
Oh, 100%. I mean, one of my leading values is, just do it. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to take the first step. So,
Oh,
minimum viable product in everything you do, whether it's your career or actually building something. And you said something that is so interesting, because we got used to thinking that it's supposed to be easy, that life should be easy, that you should barely do any work and you're going to get the recognition, that everything should be handed to you. But in reality, it's actually much better for us if we do hard things, because that's the only way to grow. And I think it was the CEO of NVIDIA who recently said, he was talking, I think, to graduates or entrepreneurs, and he said, what I wish for you is that you're going to have a life where you actually encounter challenges, when there's adversity, because that is the only way that you will actually learn and become better. And it hit a nerve with me, because I see so many people around me that are just so scared of doing anything that will take them out of their comfort zone, because it's this misconception that's going to be the end of the world. you know if you try something and it doesn't work out, oh no. But that's the only way to grow. That's literally the price of growth. You're going to have growing pains, but the reward at the end is unbelievable. Everyone wants the result, but they don't want to do the work to get there.
100%. 100%. It's funny because on our podcast, See Less Experience, we've had on some of the most recognizable celebrities, athletes, entertainers. And one thing that I gather from a lot of the really, really successful athletes is that they don't really learn a lot from their wins. They learn most of their lessons from the losses, right? Because that's where we can correct stuff and we can take a second and figure out what didn't work and reapply it and so forth. And so I think that in this world, there's no such thing as failure if you're willing to learn what didn't go right and then reapply it. And you're right. It's like having tough conversations, right? Maybe a little uncomfortable for a minute, but then right after that, most likely you're actually going to strengthen the relationship. The right people will actually respect it, and then the relationship can actually grow. But if you're a people pleaser, which by the way, I'm a recovering one, and you just, if you don't like, if you're not willing to do the hard stuff, you can never get to that next level.
I know. And it's one of the things that I see all the time are holding people back from those executive roles. They're willing to do the work. They're like, yeah, I'll put in the hours. But then if there's a hard conversation, like maybe they need to give feedback to a team member or let someone go or ask for budget or say no, they completely avoid these conversations. But that also means that they don't really get to grow and learn and do those amazing things. And they're also sending a message saying, I'm not ready. Because when you're an executive, you're expected to do that. You're expected to face the hard things because you represent a company. You make big decisions that change lives and make money. So you have to take that responsibility. And if you just want someone else to make all the hard decisions, then you're probably not going to be ready for this type of role. And I think so many people, when they come to me, they're like, well, Maya, what do I need to learn? Like, do I need an MBA? Do I need this certificate or that? And I'm like, no. What you actually need when you're stepping into executive roles is to become the kind of person who can actually do executive work. And that means having hard conversations, communicating in a way that is clear and concise so other people can understand you, making decisions even when you're not making everyone happy, and learning how to say no. Those are actually the skills that will get you ahead, not more hours, not trying harder. But that's the thing that most people just really kind of push back on and try to avoid.
I think the word no is actually a secret weapon in life. Boundaries, right? And it's something that I used to really struggle with. And now it's like if I don't want to do something because it's not in alignment with me, or I don't typically like the way I feel if I'm in that environment, or I say no. And you know what? I don't really owe an explanation. And now I understand if somebody says no to me about something, it's okay. No, I understand. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
like beg you, no problem. I get it because I have to say no to it at sometimes. This is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, look, you can renegotiate everything. We have this idea that everything is set in stone. If I committed to something, that is it. If I had a major, when I was doing my MBA, or I have to stick to that thing, I have to stay in the same industry. You can renegotiate everything. It's your life. We spend, I think the research says, 90,000 hours at work as adults. The last thing you want to do is hate it.
Mm,
And I know that everyone are all about, work-life balance, and I do respect that. I don't think you need to work 24/7. But I don't like the word balance, because balance usually means either or. And
mm.
I don't think you have to separate the two. I think you can have a career that fuels your life and a life that fuels your career. So you're always happy, not just, on the weekend. And I know that it's possible, but I think most people just don't realize it's an option for them.
Correct.
So they're kind of like, oh, I'm just going to take this is the best that I can do. I'm just going to stay here where it's
Settle.
comfortable. And for the people who want to grow, that's going to be an obstacle.
Yeah. Work-life integration.
I
Real.
know. I love that. I definitely love that
Yeah.
perspective a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think, again, sometimes we put we put too much emphasis on what other people say, right? You have to choose your way and what works for you. Even if you go now online, on Instagram, everywhere you go, there's like this guru. You have to wake up at 5 a.m. This is what you need to do. Someone else is going to tell you to do cold plunges. And then someone's going to tell you, this is how you make 7 figures. And I love that there's advice out there. Okay. When I started my career 20 years ago, I did not have anyone to talk to. But you also have to be very careful about taking advice per value. That works for this person in this situation. You can learn, you can get inspired, but then you want to choose what works for you. I don't wake up at 5 a.m. I tried, I read the book. It was just not for me. I wake up at 7, and guess what? I still do a hell of a lot every single day. Everyone says you have to work out in the morning. I work out at 7 p.m. Why? Because it works for me. It's the same with your career. There's no one size fits all. It's okay to take advice, but you want to make sure that it actually works for you.
100%. Bye. Did you grew up in Israel?
I did. I was there for almost 37 years.
Really?
Yeah.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 43 now.
I was going to say you look younger than me, being honest.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Wow. So you spent most of your life there.
I did.
Yeah.
But I also spent most of my career working for global companies. So for me, it's almost like my entire career was already US based.
Got it. Do you still have family there?
I do.
Everybody okay?
Everyone is okay for now. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I understand. This is an awesome conversation. I have a couple of juicy nuggets that are right up your alley that I think will be helpful. You wrote an awesome book, and in that book, you talk about many skills that people can utilize or might need to skyrocket their career. What are maybe one or two that are tangible that someone can apply immediately after listening to this conversation to begin to apply to skyrocket their career?
Yeah, I love that you're asking, because often when I talk about the book, I actually tell people it's not about the hard skills. Hard skills will open doors very early in your career. Sometimes it's table stakes. What I focus on is the soft skills. And that is what's going to get you promoted. This is what's going to allow you to actually level up in your career. So the first thing in the book, the first thing we actually talk about is having the owner's mentality, having an owner's mindset, which is literally what we have just discussed. Having agency, taking control, managing your career like you were managing a company. And you can actually do that with just a few simple mindset shifts. For example, if you stop focusing just on you and you put yourself in your CEO's shoes or your manager's shoes and think about the bigger picture, that's one example. If you want to have more of an owner's mindset, you can start setting goals for yourself instead of letting someone else, like your manager, tell you what's possible. Create the roadmap that you actually want to have and then figure out how to get there. Don't wait for them to tell you, oh, in this company, you only get promoted once every 3 years. Then go somewhere else that will promote you faster. My clients beat the odds all the time. If you ask someone, hey, can I get promoted the first year into a new role? 99% of people will tell you, of course not. No one will promote you. Well, my client did it. Another one got promoted twice in 1 year. So all of these rules are just not real. They're fake limitations that we create in our head. Yeah, they might be the norm, but it doesn't mean that it's not possible. When I set the bar for my students, I tell them, if it does not defy the laws of physics, you can do it. That's how we decide what's possible. So first one is owner's mindset. And there's one more thing in the book that I want to mention, and that is being the fixer. And I think a lot of time people shy away from finding a problem, fixing it, coming up with ideas, because either they think, it's just not part of my job description, or they're just so scared that they're going to say something wrong and it's going to be a problem. But what most people don't understand is that the only way for you to grow is to show that you can do next level work. Because if they hired you for this job and you're very good at this job, they have zero reason to promote you, right? You're great. How would they replace you? But if you can demonstrate, hey, I can actually do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, suddenly they think, oh, we can actually get a lot more from this person. Maybe we should give them an opportunity. And that show versus tell is so important. You're not going to get promoted just because you go to your manager and say, I really want it. It's not likely. But if you fix problems that maybe are not in your immediate purview, if you find something that is challenging for the company. And instead of ignoring it, you bring it up, you come up with a solution. Immediately, you're going to get attention and you're going to be seen as someone who can think about the bigger picture, as opposed to just someone who can take orders and do the job. And it's so simple. By the way, everything that I talk about and everything that I teach in the book is free. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need to put money into it. Yes, the book is like $15, but that's it. Everything else is just about changing your behavior that will make a huge difference.
This is unbelievable. I just want to acknowledge you. This content's great. The way you deliver it's spectacular. And I love the whole concept of an owner's mindset. I hope everyone's listening right now. It's unbelievable. What about this? This is just straight off the cuff. What if you've been working at a company and maybe you're a little too shy to ask for promotion, but realistically you've been doing the work? What if you went up to your manager and you said, hey, look, um, I'm really ambitious. I'm really goal oriented. I want to expand in the company. I want to help the company grow. What would it take for me to get to that next level? Like, what would you be looking for? Or maybe we could set some goals. Maybe just something so that you guys have an understanding. If you do this, then it's black and white. Then you get that promotion. Would that be useful?
Yeah, of course. This is actually part of what I teach. I think we have this misconception of I'm going to work really, really, really hard. And then one day I'm going to go to my manager and, like, I've done it. I want the promotion. But if you surprise your manager out of the blue, like, hey, I want a promotion, the automatic response is usually no. So what you want to do instead is plant a seed. You want to reach out 3 to 6 months before you actually want the promotion. And you want to do exactly what you said right now. You want to set boundaries and guidelines about what it will take for you to level up. Now, here's the biggest problem. Most managers don't know what to tell you. They actually don't know how to guide you. I know it's sad. Either the company doesn't have really clear guidelines about levels, or your manager just doesn't have the time to get super specific and give you everything that you want. But there's a hack. Here's what you can do. All you need to do is find people who have the job you want to have and talk to them. So if you want to level up into a director role, go to LinkedIn, find people in the same discipline. I was in marketing, so maybe director of marketing. Reach out and have conversations with them. Ask them, hey, what do you do every single day? What is the most important thing? How are you being measured? What are the KPIs? If you talk to 3 or 5 people like that, you will know exactly what is expected from a director. You can look at where you're at and evaluate the gap. Sometimes you're going to find out you don't actually have a gap. And that's a whole other conversation about how to bring it up. But you can actually come to your manager with a plan and say, here are the 5 things I've identified that I think are going to be required for me to make director. Is that okay? Would you add anything? Do you have any feedback? And that is so easy for your manager to basically just say yes. By the way, have it in writing. We want to make sure that we have, a way to track it back. And then go and do those things. Qualify yourself, get the experience, check in with your manager periodically so it's never a surprise. And then when you checked off the boxes, you're going to have that conversation of, well, I have did everything that we talked about. What's the timeline for my promotion?
It's unbelievable. And I got to tell you, if one of my employees came up to me and said, Craig, I really want to grow. I want to take this company to the next level. I'd like to get promoted, like to a different position. What would that look like from your vantage point? What would I need to be doing? Like, what do you want to see more of? How can I contribute a little bit more? What would you be looking for? Right away, I'd be like, I love that because it shows hunger, it shows drive, it shows going the extra mile. And I would probably say, let me think about it. And I would come back with things that they could do to elevate the company. And if they can do those things, I feel like it's an energetic exchange. Absolutely, you can get promoted if you could do those things. Everybody wins.
I know, but you know what the problem is? People think that they shouldn't do work for free, right? Because you're talking about the extra mile, right? You're going to do something outside of your job description. So the common advice is if you want a promotion, don't do work for free. And I actually have a different opinion about that. The goal is the goal is to be strategic and get the promotion. So what you need to do is overcome any objections. And the main objection with a promotion is, I don't know if you can do it, right? When you level up, you're going to do work that you've never done before. So someone needs to take a chance on you. It's a lot easier to show them what you can do than to try and tell them, trust me, like I'll figure it out. But if you take a little bit of time, and I'm not talking about doing this for a full year and not getting paid, but if you do this for 3 months, 6 months, you have results, it's a no brainer for a manager. And you just said it yourself. If my employee did that, well, I did that at every job that I had, which is why I got 10 promotions in 15 years and I almost never had to ask for them. I just did the work and then the reward came with it.
Yeah, I love it. And there's an energy involved too, right? It's like when you have an employee that you don't have to tell them to do things because they're going to do it, and then someone will bring it to your attention. Like that's the type of vibe you want to grow with forever. So
100%.
when somebody taps into that consciousness, it's that's really what your manager, leader, or owner wants to see and won't want to lose that. So I just feel like that's more like thinking bigger, playing small scale, and playing the long game. Forget about doing stuff that's out of my pay grade, whatever the case may be. What can I do to make my manager, my owner, just feel so at ease? They could depend on me, rely upon me. They don't want to lose that. Go the extra mile. Yeah.
Yeah. Literally, that's the entire strategy behind my career growth. And it's not just about more hours and more work, it's about adding value. That's the difference, actually having an impact. And you can do so much with that.
Yeah.
And one of my most favorite career advice, it came from my manager at Microsoft, and he said, don't ask for permission. If you have to, ask for forgiveness. And what he wanted to say was like, you don't have to go through me for everything. Like, just do it. I trust you.
Yeah.
If there's a problem, I'm going to have your back. I'm going to tell them it's my fault and we're going to be fine. And that is the kind of manager that you want because they will allow you to grow and experiment and try new things. But the reason that it worked is because I was also open to say, I want more. I am willing to do more. Just give me the opportunity.
I think that's actually a good life lesson,
Yeah.
right? It's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission.
And you also have to ask for what you want. For some reason, people think managers can read minds. They can't. I mean, we have so much going on in our lives anyway. So while I love my employees, I don't always think about their promotion every single minute. I actually need them. I want them to come up and say, hey, Maya, I really want this opportunity. And I'll tell you, in the corporate world, when I've had employees who did that, always it actually turned to become an actual opportunity. I had someone who wanted to become a people manager, and I did not have the headcount for that, but she told me she wanted it. So we brought in an intern, and then we let her manage some of the suppliers. And after 6 months, we can actually hire that intern full time, and she became a manager. But if I didn't know, none of that would have happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're not mind readers, or your boss is not a mind reader 100%. And let's be honest, like most people aren't like dying to wake up every day and tell, oh, I just want to give out more money. So you got to take the initiative and initiate conversation. Not that you're expected to get it right that second, but at least like you said, plant that seed. Let's come up with an understanding, and then I can attack.
100%. And it's actually all that it takes. It's not about getting, necessarily more education, more certificates, putting in more hours. It's about the meaning of the work that you actually do.
Yeah.
And it's a small difference, but it's actually a big one.
Yeah, and I would just add to that a lot of it will probably come down to delivery, right? Don't come feeling entitled. Have an honest, open your heart conversation. These are my goals. What I'm looking to do. What would it take to get there? Or what do you think? What else would you like to see of me? And when you say it with like the right attitude, that goes a long way too.
Oh, 100%. No one wants entitlement. It's just, yeah, you can see it that a lot of companies still promote based on seniority. It's like, oh, you've been here for 5 years. I guess it's time to promote you.
Yeah.
I find it so ridiculous. It's the same like saying, well, if you played basketball for 5 years, you should be in the NFL, right? Or
Yeah,
NBA. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
But it makes absolutely no sense. Just because someone played for 5 years doesn't make them good at it.
Correct.
And it's the same with corporate, right? Just because you've been in this role for 10 years doesn't make you. I've seen people who have been at the same level for 10 years, and guess what? They were not really good at it. And I was promoted, a lot faster because I was doing the right things. So sometimes, I know the workplace is not a meritocracy,
Yeah.
but if you're seeing that your company only promotes based on seniority, that you're crushing it, you're killing it, you're doing everything, and you're still not getting the recognition, then go somewhere else. You don't have to limit yourself based on their rules. You deserve to get promoted when you're ready, not when it's on their agenda.
Yeah, you're awesome. I want to encourage everyone to grab your book. One of the cool things that you do is you're talking about practical skills and tools that people can apply, but you're also shaping a different conscience, a different attitude, a different mindset to take into the workplace. So if you bring that mindset and then you equip yourself with the tools and grab the book, then I mean, you're in great hands. You're in the right trajectory.
Thank you. I believe so. I think success is 80% mindset. The execution is important, but it's 20%, because if you have the right mindset, if you build the confidence, if you know how to push back on all the thoughts that we have that are telling us we're not good enough, we shouldn't do it, it's not the right time, we can actually do anything.
Yeah, agreed. One final nugget, and then we'll land the plane just because I'm having so much fun. I know the audience is too. How can someone listening today begin to think more like a fixer and learn how to find creative solutions?
I would say the first thing you want to do is get yourself in the know. What I mean by that, you're not going to identify problems if you don't know what's going on. If you're only focused on your job and what you do, you want to go broader. You want to read, company updates. You want to go to all hands. If it's a public company, I would actually listen to earning calls. Like, I would actually do my work. You also want to network internally. Your boss is not enough. You need to get information from other places. And if you do that, you're going to get information. That information will allow you to identify those problems and then fix them. And it's so simple because it's all there. You just need to ask for it so that you can have the information, and then you can become that fixer.
So good, unbelievable. This is a really cool paradigm shift, and I just love your work. And to be honest with you, this even entrepreneurs can get a lot out of this because of the mindset, like we said. Great stuff. Real quickly, we'll have a little fun. Rapid fire, one word answers. You ready for me?
Yeah.
Okay. Your favorite book, not including yours.
Um, Never split the difference.
Chris Voss.
Yeah.
He's a friend. He's great. Uh, Favorite movie.
Pretty Woman.
Classic. My fiance was watching it last night. Yeah. Okay. Your last meal on Earth would be.
Probably pasta.
Mm, nice. Nice. Okay. Favorite guilty pleasure.
Getting my nails done, but like in a really fancy place.
Nice. Get a little massage too while you're there.
Yeah.
Love it. Favorite workout.
Yoga.
Mm, last but not least, very deep stuff. Your favorite musician.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. It changes all the time. Right now, I'm actually listening to 30 Seconds on Mars.
Okay. Fair enough. I know everyone's gonna be obsessed with you in 2 seconds. This was so valuable for anyone in any line of work. Where can everyone support, follow you along? How could they get involved?
Well, of course, LinkedIn, so Maya Grossman, or just go to mayagrossman.com. I have a lot of free stuff on the website that can get you started if you're looking to level up and grow your career.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Maya, thank you so much for stopping by today and dropping these priceless, juicy nuggets.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a blast.
This was awesome. Hang out for 1 sec.